This is the outgrowth of 5,000 years of professional military culture. And here I am stepping in to the Marine Corps with their arms wide open. I did not do this myself. How could I make a veteran commercial about the veteran experience and firearms safety and being honest about PTSD and suicide prevention? How could I do that on my own? I can't.
Is that much of it? That's not much of a change for you, right?
My name is Kerry Kite. I used to load bombs in the Air Force, and now I'm a writer, a filmmaker, and an entrepreneur. Through using the post 9/11 GI Bill to go to college, working hourly jobs to pay the bills, and freelancing my way into a career, I've studied what it takes to successfully transition from service to civilian, and that study has become a conversation. On this podcast, I speak to other veterans, successful artists, and entrepreneurs about their transition, what they did well, where they failed, what they learned, and most importantly, how they applied their skills. Episode 173 features the wild man himself, Rudy Reyes, Marine Corps veteran, television host, reality TV producer, stunt coordinator, tactical advisor, actor, and all-around filmmaker, wrapping up our trilogy featuring the Department of War and VA's Face Your Dragon commercial series. Welcome. This is Veteran Made. Our merch store is live at store.veteranmadeproductions.com. Grab hats, t-shirts, and hoodies in both performance and tri-blend cotton fabrics. Use code VM-5OFF for 5% off your purchase. Veteran Made is also sponsored by GoPills, a military-grade nootropic that contributes to brain health over time. Use code VM15 at checkout for 15% off. I get my collagen protein from Bubs Naturals, where you can use code VETERANMADE, all one word, at checkout for 20% off your order. We're also proud to partner with True Made Foods, which makes condiments free from added sugar and sweetened with real foods. Use code VET at checkout for 15% off. We love socks in this house. I get my wife new socks every Christmas. More importantly, we love American-grown and made socks. Use code VETERANMADE15 at rucksocks.com for 15% off. And lastly, I end my day with Rack Out from Bravo Actual to maintain quality sleep, resulting in a well-rested body and mind. Use code VETERANMADE with a space between the words at checkout for 15% off your order. Enjoy the episode.
Cool. All right. We are live. Good evening from the great state of Ohio for me. Good afternoon from the great state of California. Rudy Reyes, welcome to Veteran Made.
Thank you, brother. It's a pleasure to be here, and I love seeing our people really evolve and not just as we fought through objectives and accomplished missions in our service and on the battlefield, but we're doing it now in this battlefield, which sometimes is more perilous because the enemy are not easy. The enemies are not easily defined, and we do not have the platoon around us. So I love seeing us, in a sense, bringing our platoons back together and accomplishing missions.
That's it, man. That's really what I want to talk about with this Face Your Dragon campaign with the VA and the DOW that you worked on. It's kind of interesting, right? Like you played yourself early in your career in Generation Kill, and then you're playing yourself right in this PSA, which is kind of an interesting bookend, right, for the conversation. You've done video games and movies and documentaries and reality TV and kind of everything. So I mean, knowing you, man, we're going to start kind of wherever we're going to start, but I like that idea of like you've played yourself twice in kind of two different ways here. What's that like?
You know, it's interesting. So I've been in the entertainment business about 15, 16 years. And I started, in a sense, at the top because it was HBO. And I think an $80 million production. And that's in 1990 or 2008 dollars. That was a lot of money. And working with pro actors, working with pro producers, stunts, art department, and cutting my teeth with Alexander Skarsgård, cutting my teeth with John Huertas, cutting my teeth with Mikey Kelly, cutting my teeth with Chance Kelly, cutting my teeth with James Ransone, rest in peace. So these are pros, and some of them, Mikey Kelly and Chance Kelly. Mikey played Captain Patterson, and Chance played the legendary Godfather, Colonel Ferrando. These brothers had been in it a while. John Huertas had been in it a while. And so I'm learning on the job, brother. And then I got into, for the most part, adventure and survival programming. And I auditioned for the first Expendables. And I've had some other great auditions, Walking Dead, but I didn't make it for one reason or another. Sometimes just because, and this is strange, my my powerful energy when I show up sometimes ain't the right energy when you are a supplementary or co-starring character, or not co-starring, a supporting role. I didn't recognize it like that. I just saw it as a failure. I saw it as a failure, and then I have to work on my chops harder. Now that I've been doing SAS, Who Dares Wins, and Special Forces, I'm working on my 5th season now, brother. I just got back. I can't say where, but it's going to be gnarly. I'm seeing that I'm being received for me. People are interested in knowing me. And now I am not as excited or really even interested in being an actor. Yet, as we speak, the John Wick people just contacted me last week. And next week in LA, I go in to meet with their producers. And it seems that it's opening up. And I'm sure I'll be typecast me as the freaking heavy, as the commando, as the MMA champ, as the freaking warrior veteran on the loose, searching for high ground. Fine. But it's interesting. It's coming full circle, but I'm still being me. And that's maybe a lesson that the brothers and sisters out there might be able to glean, is showing up as your best authentic self. And in my case, because physical fitness and martial arts and physical culture has always been so important to me, John Rambo, Tarzan, Commando, Bruce Lee, and then, of course, the X-Men and all of my comic books, all idealized figures, Frank Zane. I bring that physicality. I would recommend all the brothers and sisters out there as well, stay with your PT, because it gives you such confidence. It gives you such ease when you feel strong and good about yourself. And so that's what I'm still doing, bro. I'll be 55 in December, and I'm getting a little gray, but my man, I still feel 25. Keep the PT, keep the physical fitness, keep the mind, body, spirit aligned for strength and health, and it'll show up. A success will show up in whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things in the entertainment industry, whether you're, in front of the camera or behind the camera, is figuring out like who you are and where you fit, right? If you're in front of the camera, like you said, you're auditioning for roles, and so you have to go figure out like how to become that person. There's lots of people that have those skill sets. And because people have those skill sets, and there's these classes, and we've all heard the podcasts and the roundtables and the discussions about like, method acting and all these different ways to become other people. Some people then feel like, well, I can figure out how to do that, and some people can, but other people are more like, oh no, I'm actually just going to lean into who I am and what I have to offer, rather than trying to figure out what it is that needs to be offered and figure out how to offer that, right?
I'm with you, Carrie. So I did take one acting class, and it was a deep dive, Saturday and Sunday, 8 hours a day. And then I've trained with my coach a few times to prepare me for a few things. His name is Tom Artavani. He was a football player and a model, handsome stud. He's probably 60, 65. Looks like an idealized mixture of Mads Mikkelsen and when Bono was young. And this guy exudes relaxed confidence and stud. The whole purpose of our training and classes, and you can layer upon this, he said simply this, Rudy, everybody puts a freaking barrier in front of themselves when they meet somebody. And when you're in front of camera, it's that times 1,000, because it sees everything and it does not care about you. So naturally, we put up a barrier. Since you're already auditioning and you're already working, that means people want to see you. So let's get the barrier out of the way. And I said, well, what about the character? And he goes, fuck the character. No, who cares about the character? like anybody writing anything is going to be that interesting. They're interested in you, my man, or else you wouldn't be in this thing. So let's work on getting the barrier away and showing up. And damn. And that's the baseline. Then, of course, you've got to do your military paragraph order on your script, on your lines, nailing your lines. And then what makes us such a great military is rehearsals. You got to rehearse, 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 rehearse. And he was right on the money. And now on Special Forces and SAS, my man. So what's so great about that program, it's a British production. The Brits make the best TV in the world. Our TV in America comes across campy and cheap and dumb. Their stuff comes across as documentary. So there is not a single reshoot, my man. What you see, we're rolling. You know how good everyone's got to be? And I don't mean just the cats in front. I mean, the camera operators. I rehearse for weeks. We find the cliff sides and mountaintops to put the big cameras on. We're running drones and we're rehearsing this because when it's time to roll and it's organic, remember, nobody's got any lines. We have to capture it. And it is a really high level special operations type of mission to do this work. Now, when I get in front of those recruits, I've got to nail the gravitas and the brief, and there is no stutters. And it is straight up Marine Corps drill instructor, cadre style, command control, mission brief me back, and we're hitting it. All of my time in the military and our culture has empowered me so much. I have to always reflect back that the Marine Corps gave me this baseline of confidence, of competence, and the flexibility and confidence to learn new things too. It's really something special, bro.
Yeah, that's one of the, I think it's like one of the big misnomers in our culture, right? And obviously
Yes.
we work in film and TV production and all of that. But for folks that are in other industries, like they expect that military veterans are rigid, that we're only good at following orders to the T. But that flexibility that you were just talking about is like something that I feel like we have to pull out of each other when we get
Yes.
out of the military, because it's like we have it when we're in, because you have to,
Yes.
regardless of your specialty, right? You have to be
Yes.
flexible within the mission set. And then you get out and you're like, okay, well, what do I do now? How do I do it perfectly? It's like, well, you don't. You actually just go be yourself and be flexible and learn how to lead. You don't have to learn how to lead up and down the chain of command. You already know. So you can move
That's right.
laterally, you can move forward, you can move backward, you can move in all these different directions. And I think that's I think that's probably what your recruits find interesting when they get into that environment with you.
Totally, bro. It throws them for a freaking loop, whether they're the NBAers or the NFLers or who does well are my showbiz people, because the hours are punishing. You're never good enough. Most actors and or presenters, if people watch our podcast here and to get an insight into the entertainment business, you probably most get 500 no's before one yes. I'm very lucky. I only get 10 no's to every one yes. And so when those first 10 no's came, I thought, Rudy Reyes, you ain't worth a damn, because I'm used to winning the fight. And if I'm not used to losing the fight, because if I start taking freaking losses, I'm flexible enough to freaking flank and then bring on some combined arms, and I manicure the battlefield in the first place. So when I first got into this, I'd never failed so many times. And I look back now, I've had it quite good. Now, this is the thing about that flexibility, especially as it pertains to the entertainment industry, actually any industry. I still get fixated. I still get target fixation. And I'm used to winning battles in recon through immense physical preparation, technical and tactical precision and skill, and then manicuring the battlefield with assets, and then I win the fight. And there comes a point when you cross that line of departure, when you get into the fight, when you're into the fray, you do aggress through and dominate. Well, that warrior mindset, that visceral John Rambo mindset doesn't work in the same way out here. Matter of fact, I scared people. I alienated people. I was deemed sometimes too aggressive. I was deemed too dangerous. And I was under immense amount of mental and emotional pressure that I was putting on myself. And it was not good for anyone. It wasn't good for me. I'm sure that led to drinking hard, and then, of course, hard drugs, and then bad relationships, because I was used to fighting like I did as a recon Marine. And in this world, you are not just the team leader of your little 5-man team. You're every billet on that team, and you're the commanding general of the whole thing. Once I started to approach it in that way, and this sounds strange. So, I work with the big networks and such now. When I need to change something because it's just not good enough, or it's not making sense, tactically or for story, I come in as the hard charger Sergeant Reyes, but recon team leader. It puts people off. You smash through people's artworks and or writing and or production that they've worked on for a year to get there. So I learned to, like a scout sniper, to blend, hide, and deceive. I use my camouflage. Any chance I can make my other teammates, specifically on the civilian side, feel that first of all, that they're respected for all their hard work, and next, that the ideas are coming from them, it makes everything better. And when it really is, you got to be so sharp, so inclusive to people who have committed so much time, energy, effort, and sacrifice to be in this world. Because our world, you notice hardly anybody has kids. They've all had divorces. They're all committed and married to the work. It really is, it's really hard. It's hard on the human being. When you can include them and make them feel that, first of all, their toil and their sacrifice is rewarded because they're here, and that it's an honor to be working with them, and the ideas or the approaches make them feel included with that. And if you can make them feel like it's their idea. In time, that level of trust, these people are sharp in our business. They're going to see it 2 years later. And I've been working with some of the people with SAS and Special Forces for 7 years. The love and trust I have with my director and my producer, my love and trust that I have with the network, it's because of those abilities that I brought to bear. And I would recommend everybody that works in whatever industry, especially if you're a hard charger, take a play from my playbook.
How did you keep who you are? Like, how did you keep the essence of yourself and your energy and who Rudy Reyes is while flexing and adjusting those, right? Because you're recognizing elements in your new operating environment that require a different approach. You fell back on some training, right, with Scout Sniper training, but you're still you, right? So how do you navigate that? Because I think some people might hear that and say, oh, he's asking me to change who I am. He's asking me to lie. He's asking me to deceive, right? He's asking me to do things that aren't natural to me. And maybe that last part is true. Maybe it isn't natural to slow down, right, and to listen. But how do you retain who you are through that process?
How I do it, by the way, it's tough, man, brother. It ain't all that it's cracked up to be. I'm at Fox, and it ain't all that it's cracked up to be. It's a whole lot of pressure, and I'm making networks hundreds of millions, and I'm only making hundreds of thousands. The work I do is very dangerous. It's extremely dangerous, brother. We're doing helicopters, subsurface helicopter escapes. We're doing high-speed casting, from airframes. I'm the rescue swimmer and rescue diver, and we're doing all kinds of cliff assaults and high rope work. It's very dangerous. And in an ideal world, I should be making millions for what I'm pouring out there because I'm presenting, I'm producing as a tactical advisor and building course, and I'm a stunt player. If you just add that up, right? Now stay with me here. I look in the mirror and I say, Rudy Reyes, it's like if you're like working for a bad CEO sometimes, right? You're not feeling respected because now we're getting older. I have two children, 13 and 16. Shoot, just to feed these teenagers, you won't believe, just to feed them, much less the sports and everything else. And I need to make every dollar I can, brother. And it's interesting, Kerry. I mean, I need every dollar I can. I still live really humbly, by the way. My rent at home in St. Louis is $600 a month. I live in a tiny little carriage house. I drive a 2010 Hyundai, champagne colored with body damage. I don't got to show the bling. I'm not interested. But still, that dollar sign is how we are. That's the language we use for value. Sometimes I feel like walking away from all of it and working at the Starbucks because I love people, right? Instead, how I don't lose myself is I keep my mind on the commander's intent. My commander's intent is to build my business, build my network and kingdom, build my recon platoon, and then implement that into other communities so they can start building the same things. And when I'm really worn out and really exhausted and ready to walk away, because some of the goofy ass stuff that I am privy to and that I got to deal with, I go back to Force Blue. I've always got Force Blue for my veterans out there. I created a nonprofit with other combat divers to use our amphibious warfare skills and combat dive skills to do ocean conservation. So when in doubt, I get back on mission, live aboard this ship 8 hours east in the Gulf of Mexico, doing deep dives and researching coral and doing freaking rad ass stuff. And that refreshes me to go back into the fight. And the fight is to become successful. If you all just keep thinking what your commander's intent and your overall strategy for victory is to become successful, you will not lose who you are.
How do you define success?
You know what? I just felt a little bit of it today. I'm training the family right here in the garage gym, and the sister posted a little video of me training the brothers. And then she came over to me and said, she just put, seconds later, she said, my friend just said, he can't believe that you're here in the gym because you are a Marine Corps legend, To me, that's a success. Just to hear something like that. Oh my gosh, in the airport yesterday in St. Louis, 10 families. And the men were all veterans. And then a lady is walking by as I'm sitting having a drink before I board, and she just came over and like gave me 5 and said, me and my husband love your show. And so these are indicators that I am firing on all cylinders, and what I have to share is resonating. That's a big part of it. The next piece is this: evolve my business acumen. Because I've made so many mistakes, brother. I made that $250,000 shooting 8 months for Generation Kill, lost it all. And then for a while, probably another 100 grand just in freaking drugs. And then ended up in a mental institution for a year. And then clawed my way back. I gave so many people loans. They never came back. I used to give my money away to all the brothers in need. I've made every mistake you can make. Now my success is to be intelligent with my business acumen and to be aware of the prime movers in business period, which is economics, which is trade, which is story. We're all in the story business. I just keep trying to get more tactically and technically proficient at this new battlefield that I'm in. That is a success to me. I have my own little company now. Look at this thing with New War Productions with John Yohe and Chase Millsap. We've got a production company. We did the Dragon commercial. We brought to bear so many assets to make that happen. Chase is working on a Band of Brothers documentary that'll blow your socks off. I am now in talks with Discovery. Had a great meeting last week for my own show that I will co-produce with my teammates. To me, this is success. I've got money saved in the bank. I provide well with child support and sports, and when I can, my time to my kids. I consider this success. But if you're not pushing forward, be careful. You might be sliding back. So I stay in the fight.
Yeah, and you got to integrate making these decisions for yourself, right? Defining success for yourself, as well as everything I just heard you say is working with other people and learning from other people, even from people who are making a lot more money than you are.
For
right?
sure.
You're making money for, right? There's actually a ton of value in that. If it's not
Yes, sir.
monetary value now, it's training. It's a new operating environment that you can go in and say, okay, how do these guys do that? How do they get me to do all three of these things for this show? How can I then take that and then build my own show? How can I take that and then go build a production company with two other people, right? Who have their own interests, their own skill sets, their own competencies, like you were saying. And then you start building something together and you're pulling from all of these different places in the economy, because it has changed since, you went into the military, a little bit before I did, but we're of the same generation of like, we went into the military and the world was one way. We came out and now
Very much.
it's a different way to do business.
Absolutely. And there is a word that we always use with our training: evolution. The next evolution is, and the reason why we use this word in recon and SEALs and SF, because after you go through this arduous piece of selection, you have evolved to another thing. This is not for the faint of heart, and I'll tell you why. Not many men and women have the intensity, patience, and mental toughness to be working in a field like ours, which is completely unstable. And each and every one of us is a mercenary for our business, and that means we are always prepping the zone, collecting information, processing it, turning it into intel, doing some raids, maybe taking some space, but then some of those things don't play out and we fall back. It is a hard life, but God, it's so fulfilling because it's all coming from inside of you.
Yeah, and you're constantly learning. Like you said earlier, there are no failures, right? There's only the opportunity to learn, and you get those. I think some of us probably have to. I'm in the same boat. Sometimes you have to learn. You have to learn the hard way, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the hard way is the best way to learn if you can then come back from it and rise up from it. So I want to jump into the Dragon commercial. So speaking of building a platoon and working with a bunch of different people, you worked with, Mark Harper, you worked with Chase, you worked with the whole team.
Yep. Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan. What was it like at what stage did you come into the project? And then once you got your hands on it, how did you collaborate with those guys?
Chase had been bringing this something, and Chase and Mark Harper like this, right? And I've known Mark and Chase way back at We Are the Mighty, and they approached me a few years ago, maybe 5, and I had just seen a similar, a conceptually and subject matter kind of similarity with the commercial that came out with the VA at that time. And it turned me really off because the commercial was about weapon safety and about suicide prevention. And it was all dark. It was all dark. And by the way, we've had too many of our brothers take their lives. I've dealt with it too. And it was so dark, dismal, and I was angry because you know what? I busted my ass to claw myself out of that deep, dark hole. And I'm still risking my life for my work, but I'm providing for my family, and I am building something. And I felt that they were speaking to veterans as victims and broken things, and it just didn't resonate with me because I remember when I felt that way, and it was the lowest time of my life, brother. And I had a hard childhood, and I had hard battles in Iraq and Afghanistan. The lowest and the hardest fight I had was clawing out of that hole back home. And I remember talking to the boys about it. I said, man, this is not what we need to empower ourselves so that we are victors, not victims. And we changed the conversation not to winning and losing, but to prevail. But to prevail is what we need to do. And I guess that stoked something in Chase. And 2 years later, he reached out to me about this project. And I was absolutely, completely committed to a narrative in which we accept that we have valleys, and that for some of us, those valleys, due to the brain and the nervous system, and even our self-concept, those have been irrevocably changed. We are not the same young men as we were before, and we never will be. And young women, we're not. It's not hiding that very stark truth. Instead, it's embracing it. And just as we were successful out there fighting, we have countermeasures. We have community. I'm a scout sniper, but brother, even my scout sniper missions, I've always had at least one brother with me. I've never done a single thing on my own in the military, and all of that success came from my team and my platoon and my Marine Corps and my Department of Defense and my country. All of it. So our approach was, we do fight our dragons, we fight our monsters, and we do. But let's prevail. Let's prevail. And also, we have a massive firearms community in our country. And I wanted to give the respect and love, first of all, not just to the enthusiasts, the veteran enthusiasts. So many of us are still fighting. Many of my brothers are in CAG at Delta now. Other organizations and shadow entities that work for our super high-end NSA, CIA, they're still making a living for their family by polishing the tip of the spear and bringing that to bear. I'm not going to disrespect the responsibility and the maturity that we achieve by carrying a rifle, by putting out a narrative that the gun violence and the gun or the gun suicide is the real demon. That's the tool. We have to make sure that tool is protected and that we have stop gaps, because when we're down and out or raging in a fight with the missus or the ex or the husband, or struggling to make the bills, or being let go from, being laid off, let's make stop gaps and let's prepare and manicure that battlefield. Part of our identity as fighting men and women is the weapon. And the weapon represents responsibility. It represents maturity, represents discipline, because to keep that weapon operating, it becomes your entire archetype. how do we do it the right way, where we're saving lives. I'm putting forward to the brothers and sisters and the children and the parents. I'm putting forward to our community and culture here in America that we're taking responsibility for this this duty, and we're going to be proactive in staying in the fight for our life. I thought the messaging was right on. I thought the messaging was not victim, but victor oriented, and all the while being respectful and honest about the dangers that suicide presents for specifically our community. So that was why I poured into it, brother.
Yeah, I mean, language matters, right? Like you said, it's not about framing it as wins and losses, but using the word prevail, right? Like that makes us feel, and even using words like responsibility, right? We're not shying away from what's true. In fact, we're stepping forward to what is true and honestly assessing it, honestly assessing what's out there affecting us, what's in here affecting us, and then what we are responsible for. And I mean, that was one of my favorite things about the spot, was that it yes, it called back to those fun, Marine Corps
For sure.
commercials from back in the day, which just had an epic and just fun quality to it. But like, it made you feel something really particular. It didn't make you just feel nothing, which I think a lot of content in the veteran space, or that's targeted towards veterans of the military community from outside of it, just kind of feels like nothing and just feels blah. Whereas you watch this, I mean, and your energy is on full display, right? Leading this group of people. Because it wasn't just about you, right? It would be very easy to say, oh, this is about the veteran and let's make it just one person and they're isolated. It's no, we're not isolated. We have all of these other people with us and behind us and next to us. What was it like to be on set? I mean, it's a wild production. You're running, you're jumping, you're doing all kinds of crazy shit. Not as crazy as the shit that you're doing on special forces, but still, right, it kind of had that adventurous quality to it. Like, what did you bring some of those stunt ideas and some of those things? Was it all written for you? Like, what was your contribution outside of just performing?
It was collaborative. It was collaborative. And I've got endurance, bro. Kerry, I've got endurance. That's why I'm able to do the stuff I'm still doing. Man, I got endurance. And I'm always ready to go back to one and let's run it. But the elements that made this so special, unlike anything before, is that I had my real recon brothers and sniper brothers with me. And these brothers have been there for me in combat. They came to see me at the mental institution. We've been deep in our cups and struggling to make it to the next day. And somehow when that new horizon one day was there to our eyes, not because we're bleary and we've been up all night, but because we slept well, because we feel strong about who we are now, that new horizon, these bros that you see with me, Eddie Wright, he's lost both his arms, brother, in Fallujah. And I had just chopped my way out of that battle and narrowly escaped with my life, killed an RPG team. And when I got back to command, I was doing my debrief and the other platoon went out. Eddie took a direct hit by an RPG and it was another counter ambush. We aggressed through it. I went back in there and I put Eddie through training. I put him through selection. Paul Wayman, the big blonde, looks like the king from the 13th Warrior, the big Viking king. He was my student. He couldn't even shave when I first met him. He was 19 years old, and he came right out of SOI because he was excellent. We put him through course. He went to BRC. He's my bodyguard when I do big events. My dear brother. We had Matt DeMeo, Marine Corps, Force Blue diver, entrepreneur. All these teammates flew in from all around the world to be there for this thing. And then we had active duty. We had veterans from other generations. The energy was electric. You could taste it. It was palpable. And then Ryan, of course, the exemplary artist and warrior and visionary that he is. And we've got Chase and Mark rolling, running with me and going back to one and doing it again. By the way, Chase, after a while, is like, bro, I'm not in the shape I used to be, man. And because the explosions are going, we got to go do it again. Anyway, that energy, bro, I was fatigued after the 15-hour days or whatever, but I don't remember it. All I remember was just being on fire for this commercial, on fire for the message, on fire for the veteran community. And I think the piece of work that we see now, it really, really says it all.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about this with Ryan, and I talked about this with Mark, and it's why the representation matters. It's not to check a box, right? To hit your diversity, equity, and inclusion boxes, right? Those things are important only because there are, I mean, as you're describing it, right? Like you needed those people around you
I
to
did.
properly tell this story, right?
I did. Absolutely. I did. It's just like PTSD. PTSD is bigger than we are individually.
Yeah.
Individually, it's bigger than us. But when we have community, we have the Knights of the Round Table, we defeat it. And all of my skills, all of my abilities carry, falling from the sky with parachutes and combat dive missions from nuclear powered submarines and all of my explosives and being a professionally trained gunman and sniper and such. This is the outgrowth of 5,000 years of professional military culture. And here I am stepping in to the Marine Corps with their arms wide open. And our military rewards men and women that have discipline, are aggressive, and will just shut the F up for 3 years and do what they're told. You can learn everything. I did not do this myself. How could I make a veteran commercial about the veteran experience and firearm safety and being honest about PTSD and suicide prevention? How could I do that on my own? I can't. And this was just the way it had to be. And I'm very, very happy.
Yeah. It's a conversation with people, right? Like when the VA and Ad Council and all these other folks put out, I mean, we see it every year around Veterans Day, right? With all the different sports leagues, right? The NFL and NASCAR and all these organizations, they make content for and then give it to veterans and for and to the military community. When in reality, if we are the ones that are a part of that storytelling effort, we will reach more of that community and we will do it together, because this segmented, and it comes from an honorable place. It comes from a patriotic place, right? Like a lot of times people just don't even know what to say or how to even communicate to a veteran. And that's a real problem that this country has, because we should be the ones who are telling them how to speak to us, because we should be opening ourselves up to each other and to them.
That's right, brother. That's right. You know what? The other productions and the messaging and throughways in those productions, all coming from a great place. But brother, just like on the battlefield, brother, it's in the execution, baby. It's in the execution. And they come across stale, and they turn people off. They turn us off. And then it can make us feel even more isolated in this world. When I was doing counterterror and counterpoaching in Northeast Africa for our government, contracting and then doing some modeling and some productions here or there. This is about 2016. When I came back home and I saw our Humvees, ISIS driving our Humvees through Iraq, and seeing the colors of Iraq on TV, and horrible atrocities, and our enemies using our equipment. I felt so disconnected because back home here, nobody cared. And nobody was connected to the sacrifices that we've all paid in our hearts, in our minds, that will never be the same. And then the brothers and sisters who gave the ultimate sacrifice. And that disconnect, I took it very, very hard. And that's when I went into that darkest hole. Sometimes now we have an opportunity to do it right. Instead of watching like just the Wounded Warriors, where it almost feels pornographic in expressing suffering and pain and sacrifice of our communities. It almost feels pornographic. Doesn't feel authentic at all, because the brothers and sisters are in pieces, and then you've got a country star or an actor speaking, who, by the way, are getting paid a talent fee. Brother, you want to see me? Can you imagine Rudy Reyes? I mean, just think about it right now. I freaking lose my mind. No wonder there was a time in our veteran experience in the late 2010s and early 2020s where we were like, nobody understands and nobody cares to. And so then we feel isolated. Maybe we become a workaholic. Maybe now we got to drink a whole lot to go to sleep, stop working out. It becomes a downward spiral. I think this is just talking about this, it's so wonderful that we all got together to do this thing. It's, as a model, shows what is possible through the capabilities that we have as veteran men and women. We can do so much. And this is an incredible example. And I can't wait for more people to get turned on in our business, entertainment-wise, so that we can be gainfully employed and pour this passion and ability, pour our experience into something that moves the needle forward.
Yeah, it's one of the most difficult truths is to realize that, and this is true of humans, right? But in particular, we're talking about the veteran and the military community here, is we are responsible for responding to events and circumstances that we didn't create.
Well said.
Right. And so these are the things that, like, those of us that are in this business, those of us that are doing this work, those of us that see the problem with this storytelling, we need to do what you were describing, responsible gun owners need to do, which is take responsibility and step up and lean in and engage. And we are the ones, right, that need to figure out what this new operating environment is and go talk to those executives, go talk to those producers and say, we are here to collaborate and to contribute to tell these stories, because we know you want to tell them well, but you're not.
That's right. That's right. Well, and much love to Jack Carr. He's really been hitting it hard lately. That last one he did, Dark Wolf, I really liked, because the subject matter was right on. Of course, it's still bombastic and amazing. And my SEAL community in that, my brother AJ's in that. It was fantastic. And Jack Carr's doing the right thing. He's putting his bros to work. That's what we're doing at New War. That's what we should be doing as a collective. The subject matter in Dark Wolf, fantastic. Why? Because it was coming from a brother that chewed dirt, and a brother who's been through the agony and the ecstasy, and lived to tell about it. And he's got the juice, the Hollywood juice, because he's done 10 novels, 20 novels. That's called work. He's poured it into something substantial that you can show. Take a play from his playbook. That's what we're doing. I would love to see all of the wop, bop, chop action hero stuff. We need to be driving that. We really do, because we bring a gravitas and a realism that nobody else does. And that archetypal warrior hero story, we're going to be telling this story for all of human lifetimes. So we need to be in the writers' rooms, We need to be doing the pyrotechnics and bang and blank fire weapons. We need to be doing the acting. We need to be doing the stunt work. I got a brother, Mikey Lee, recon brother, been doing stunts now 10 years and is now getting up there, stunt coordinating. You know, you see the John Wick films, it's all the wop, wop, chop and gunplay, but I don't think there's any veterans there. And they're making a lot of money. So let's tactically and technically move into those places, and not as the badass freaking sledgehammer, big dick freaking warlord, but instead as professionals, and we can really make inroads.
Yeah, we need to be doing all of it, writing, directing, producing,
Yep.
right? We need to be in all of those rooms, right? Like not just the ones that you're describing where our technical expertise might be perceived to be more relevant, but all of them. We need to get
You're right.
all my production company, your production company, these other veteran-owned production companies. Like we need to get together as a collective and go after all of this stuff together. Because Jack's been on the podcast, I don't know, half a dozen times. I'm interviewing him in a couple weeks for his next book. Like,
give him my love. Tell him I'm a huge fan. Tell him I'm a huge fan, and he nailed it with Dark Wolf. The elements and the subject matter he nailed. And that was the most interesting part for me. And I turned it on to a few of my civilian friends to have an understanding of the patina, the soul, the sensibility, the frenetic need for action, as well as the punishing emptiness that's weaved throughout it. That he nailed it on that thing, and just tell him I'm a huge fan, bro.
Yeah, I will. I mean, we're the ones who have to tell these stories because it's part of, you know, I mean, it is interesting, right? Like Jack grew up reading these books and watching these movies, then went into
myself as well.
Did it. You know, we all grew up watching these, and it's interesting because it inspired us, a lot of us, to get into the military, right? And then some of us to get into the arts and entertainment. But it's also like, well, I think why Jack's work resonates so well with the military community is because it's so accurate. And then I think why the civilian community is so intrigued by it is because it's different. It's just different enough that they're like, there's something different about what Chris Pratt and Taylor Kitsch are doing on screen than the other action films and television shows that I've watched. I can't quite pinpoint it, but it's authenticity. It's real.
It is authenticity, brother. That's what it is, brother. I'm trying to get on Heat 2, by the way, right now as we speak. Yeah. I'm trying to get on Heat 2. My in entertainment, my greatest dream is to work with Michael Mann. He is my favorite director, writer, producer. And why are his films so amazing? Because the authenticity. So do you know that Heat, why it is the greatest modern crime drama ever done? All of that action was done by my SAS brothers. Billy's teammates, Billy Billingham from SAS, Who Dares Wins, and Command Sergeant Major SAS, by the way, and Special Forces. Those are his bros. And Michael Mann brought those guys into his fold back in the mid-90s, and he used the same brothers for Collateral, for Miami Vice. Brother, the authenticity drips off the screen, and that's what Jack's done, and that's what we need to do. And we do have power when we come together. We do have power, and some of us are getting sharp and smart about finding the executives and the money. That's the hardest part. And if we keep showing value, when I'm ready to have that talk with Fox for our own thing, I'll have a shot at getting it done because I've been showing value. So you have to stay in the fight. You have to stay consistent, and staying consistent means that you never have a bad day on the outside. You are pushing so far beyond and keeping yourself at high vibration that even when the kids are sick or the damn plumbing blew out in the house and the missus is calling, but man, you're out there and you are the freaking one-man national asset, alone and unafraid. That takes constant discipline and manicuring of skills and character.
Yeah. It's a lifetime and a career of just eating shit.
That's right.
That's all.
That's right.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's a hell of a place to end it, brother. I appreciate you. Appreciate the work. Appreciate everything that you do. Being a part of this production and ending the sort of trilogy of podcast episodes about Face Your Dragon. Stoked to put this out and share. Where can folks find you? Where can folks find your work? And where can folks watch?
Awesome. Well, I've got a little website, Real Rudy Reyes. I had to buy it from some scammer for $5,000 way back, right? They snapped up my names. I had to buy it back. I've got Instagram, Real Rudy Reyes, that shows my day-to-day adventures around the world. Please get on forceblueteam.org. That is my Force Blue mission. And I'm on Hulu for the streaming for Special Forces, and you can find me with Military Mysteries on there. HBO for Generation Kill. You know what? You just Google Rudy Reyes, and you will see it all coming down. It's a pretty common Mexican name, but you'll see who I am, and you just can get involved. And I'm going to continue doing more work and bringing people together so that we fight the greatest mission we can fight, which is to succeed, to have our community, and to prevail through this epidemic of mental health and veteran suicide.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I've known Chase for a little bit, and obviously just met John and you. So I'm gonna get in touch with you guys, and we'll figure out how to do some stuff together, because I think we can make some great content, tell some great stories,
Yes, sir.
put some great stuff out there. Rudy, to end each episode of the podcast, I ask one open-ended question: what is on your heart and your mind for our community right now? Could be a piece of advice, something you want to get off your chest, or something you want to reiterate that we talked about today. But Rudy, what's on your heart? What's on your mind?
On the battlefield, we see signs in plywood as we're moving into the mech, we're going to TQ, and it says isolation kills. And that is what we used out there to have supporting forces and to always think of our guardian angel protocol. Well, it's exactly the same out here. Isolation kills. Stay connected. Utilize the social media specifically for the social part by staying connected. Get together to train. Get together to meet family and hang with family and break bread. And every chance you can, get together to work professionally.
Well said. Love it, brother. Appreciate
Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. Much love. This is a great one. I think it'll touch some people out there.
Thanks. We'll see you.
You got it, bro. Bye-bye now.